Hello, everyone, and welcome to an alien-filled First and Last.
Spoiler, I didn't even know what the show's about.
Yeah, fuck that.
Alien
You knew what
Rangers.
it was about. I am Josh, along with Joe
Hey, man.
and Jim Bob.
I'm listening. What's that? What? Hi, how are you?
We're
How have
doing
you-
Frasier again.
How have you been?
Um,
That's not true. I'm not
Frasier
listening.
redo.
You're listening, and I can't hear you, and I'm sorry.
a
about it.
remake of We're doing Frasier. No, today we are doing a show near and dear to my heart. The X-Files.
Oh yeah. So when
Joe
you
knows-
say near and dear,
Yeah.
because this
It's the
started
closest I've
in-
ever been to feeling emotion.
Oh god. It's. I'm looking at the IMDb. It says pilot was in '93.
Yeah, man. What?
So
I
like,
was
what
8.
point?
Loved it.
Yeah, you were watching this when you were 8.
No, I wasn't, but I mean, it was on for 9 years, and
Yeah.
it was like a kind of like the Home Improvement thing, where like it was on Friday nights. I think it was on Friday nights, and it was like late, and so you'd just be like at home, and it would be on, and it scared the shit. Like when I was like 10, I was scared of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was scary, man.
Yeah.
And then, as a young lad in my mid-20s or so, I watched the whole thing. And goddamn, it's so good.
It's so good.
Jimmy, do you know the show?
I have also Netflix binged this show when it first came on Netflix several years ago.
Okay.
But I watched it as a preteen and loved it hard. I must have been like 13 or 14. It was right around. I watched it right before the movie came out. I was really into
There's
it.
multiple movies.
Well, the first movie,
Okay.
because that was like a big
And you have to
deal
watch
within the
movies-
show.
You have to watch the movies with the show.
Oh yeah, they're canon for
Yeah,
sure.
they're canon movies.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah, if you didn't watch it and you picked up the next season, you didn't really know what the
Yeah,
hell was going
Just
on.
like Entourage, the movie.
Totally canon.
Before we jump into it, though, Joe, what is First and Last all about?
We pick a TV show, and we talk about what we know about it, and then watch the first episode, and then talk about that, make some predictions, and then we watch the very last episode. Pretty much the premise is around just watching the beginning and end and seeing nothing in between and judging it based on those merits.
Some would say we watched the
Based
first
on those
and
facts.
the last.
Yes. That's how we came up with the name.
Yeah.
Wait,
Just letting you in on some of the inside baseball and how podcasts work. We thought about what we do.
Movie magic.
oh my god.
Someone brought up to me recently that like by watching just the first and last episode of the TV show, you're almost guaranteed to watch only the worst episodes of the TV show.
Here's the deal. Sometimes that is definitely true.
That has been true a few times.
But also, like, the first, like, I've seen the first episode of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Oh, the first episode of Breaking Bad is like one of the best for sure.
And, I mean,
okay.
if you do it, like, I mean, whatever it was called, the like, penultimate episode, like, the Ozymandias. Is that
yeah, Ozymandias. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, like, I mean, that's, like, the best episode of.
Well,
Maybe not, but, like, it's...
well, no,
it's super
it
good.
is.
Never
it is.
seen it.
I'm just saying. I think that's like third from the end because I think
Never
it's
seen it
that
Ozymandias
far.
and then Granite State and then
What, you know all the
I
episode
fucking love Breaking Bad.
Wow.
Someday we got to do Breaking Bad.
Hey, Ozymandias was directed by Rian Johnson.
Oh, that fucker who did Star... No, I like Star Wars. I'm not mad about Star Wars. I'm not mad about Star Wars like everybody else is.
That's interesting. I like that.
And I'm into that. Yeah, it's great. Good
Yeah.
job, man. I like Ryan Johnson.
real
Come
great.
at me, haters. Tweet at me at FNL Podcast how much you hate Ryan Johnson.
yeah,
we'll
or
talk.
whatever.
So in conclusion,
Just troll.
Yeah, you're right. It often is the worst of the
It's not
episodes
what I
of a
said
TV
at all. I
show.
was defending it. And the biggest thing I'm going to say is, and what we're going to do, Joe, is we're going to get to you and we're going to ask you what you think X-Files is about, because you've never really seen it.
I have like a pop culture's
Yeah.
knowledge of X-Files. Like
Which
I'm
is
aware
great.
of it,
Yeah, but it's probably...
but I've maybe seen one episode.
But
Yeah.
it's wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong. Before you say it, it's wrong. And I don't want to put it. I mean, I've been putting this show up on a pedestal my whole life now. But the thing I would say is like we've kind of fallen away from it a little bit, and I would like to get back to it a little bit more on this podcast. But we're analyzing like the pilots, you know, and about how they set up the characters and how like the pilots actually tell you what the show's going to be about. And I think that the X-Files pilot is one of the finest pilots of a TV show.
Okay.
If I want to watch like a random episode of the X-Files, there's a couple that come to mind. Jose Chung in Space. People who've watched X-Files know what I'm talking about. Great episode. And then there's a couple just like, you know, you random watch the sewer monster one or blah blah blah. But the pilot, like it doesn't fool around. It tells you exactly who these characters are, and it tells you what the show's about, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'd like to know. I'm curious to hear when you see it. Do you think like it does a good job?
I think, like, having never seen the pilot, I think by necessity it has to be good because it's not a comedy, so like you can't just like get people in with jokes. Like you have to like give them something that they want to see more of and introduce them to like what the possibilities of this show are. And B, it's pre-Netflix, so you not only have to keep people watching, you have to keep people watching week to week. Because with Netflix, you could be like, I'll watch this, and if I don't really like it, I'll watch another episode and see if I like it then.
X-Files was great at keeping you watch.
I think X-Files
watching
had
week to week.
Pretty continuous viewership of like upper like tens of millions, kind of like 12 million ish people like every Friday night. Which, I mean, I want
to see what they're at now that it's been rebooted.
Right. I mean, I wasn't an adult back then.
Yeah.
But there was no real internet to like stream stuff, so people were either watching TV or they weren't watching that episode for till 2006 when it, you know. So I think it held viewership at least.
Yeah,
it was good.
I was gonna say, speaking of Breaking Bad, like the way I had seen like one of the, I don't even remember what episode it was, but I had seen one episode of Breaking Bad or of X-Files because like a few years ago I was super into Breaking Bad, and my roommate was like, hey, like Breaking Bad, like Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad, used to write for X-Files.
Yeah, he's a writer.
So you should check out X-Files. So that's another reason why I was like super excited to like do X-Files tonight, because I was like, oh, Vince Gilligan's involved. And I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but I looked up the pilot and the last episode, and neither are written by Vince Gilligan. But the second to last episode is written by Vince Gilligan, and I was like, man, just missed it.
Just missed it.
But I'm sure it's of the same feel, I guess, where it's just very like it's very character driven, and it's more about, and like I guess plot driven too. There's a lot of plot things that go on in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul that like just the way that they twist and turn things and put the characters in different situations is so good that I feel like it's probably going to happen in X-Files too.
Yeah, I mean, opposite of obviously like Breaking Bad, but X-Files did a good job of doing they had two different kinds of episodes. They had like a Monster of the Week episode, and they were one of the first shows ever to like really do something like that. Okay, I think. And then they had,
and they were like the non-plot building episodes.
The Monster of the Week.
They were like the filler, but
yeah, they were filler, but
just a little adventure.
But they did a really good job of saying like, this is a filler episode, but like inside the filler episode, there was generally like some important piece of information that you were like, I've learned something new about this character or a thing that was happening in the story. Yeah, even though they were like they're trying to like solve the case of the Batman, like you know.
Ooh. Man, season 3, the case of the Batman.
Yeah, I mean that like it's crazy. Yeah, they did a thing in season 3 where they're like X-Files, the case of the Batman. That was like the whole thing. I don't want to break it. Sorry, Joe, I'm ruining it for you. But and then they had their very story driven like stuff. But so like I mean it's old school, so it's 20 you know odd episodes a month. So
the first run is
a season,
9 seasons.
Yeah.
And then there's a season 10 in 2016 and a season 11 that's happening now. Yeah. Have you seen those?
I've seen season 10, and
season 10 is great.
As of right now, I've seen the first episode of the season 11 that's come
Okay.
out, and
Okay.
as of so this episode will come out in like 2 or 3 weeks from now, and so I will have seen them all up until then. But
Oh
season
yeah,
11,
all of the episodes.
season
are
Well,
ready
11
by
it's
then.
still
gonna go
going
through
on.
March.
yeah. No,
Oh
obviously,
no,
yeah.
it just
Well, it was
goes
only
through
6 Season
January.
10 was only 6 episodes.
This says through January. This
Well,
says 5 episodes, but I
maybe-
don't know if that's what
We'll
that
see.
means.
But so we're only doing the original seasons 1 through 9.
Mhm.
And that's just because, that's the way the show was made, and it was done for a long time.
Right, that's
and,
the initial run.
Yeah, and that's the initial run. So we're going to do that. So then when season 11 ends, and if it's the end of the show, then maybe we'll go back, especially if we can kind of get... Because, Jimmy, you said that you've heard rumors that season 11 might supposed to technically be the actual end.
Yeah, and
The end again,
Scully
I guess.
has said that she's like done.
I did hear a
And
thing...
it's not doing well this season. I just had it.
I liked episode 1.
So episode 1 of season 10 had over 16 million viewers.
Well, we were all very excited as X-Files lovers.
which is
to watch that show
very
again.
it's awesome. That's great. Good for them. But the episode 1 of this season had like 5.
Are they talking about TV though? Because like even between last year and this year, like the viewership I think on TV is still like it's dramatically falling constantly. So if they're not, I mean, because
Yeah, but
it's
2 years ago.
it's on Hulu right away. Like I
Right.
watched it on Hulu.
Oh,
Yeah, I
so
guess
these
I don't
aren't
know.
these aren't streaming only reboots. Like it's literally on Fox.
Yeah,
It's
on
literally
Fox.
it's on Fox.
But it's on like Hulu's got a thing with Fox. So like
The second episode had 4 million.
So I don't know what their I don't know if that's their what's the rating system called? Nielsen.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
who
stupidest
fucking
thing in the
has
world.
Nielsen boxes.
Yeah.
It's just like
Ain't nobody ever seen one of those boxes.
Nielsen, you can put a box in my TV and find out how no TV I watch
I'm
is
gonna
on.
see if Nielsen has a Twitter account.
At Nielsen, you're doing it wrong.
Okay, at the lowest was 7 million in the 2016 season.
Okay.
It's just mean that it's not, which I think is weird because Chris Carter is still like writing episodes and directing stuff. He was the creator
Yeah.
of it. It's basically I feel like all that he's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything else he's ever worked on.
there was another show called Millennium that he had done.
I've seen that
Okay.
show. Not like seen it. I've seen like the thumbnail on it on Hulu or
Yeah.
Netflix or wherever it is, and I've never cared about it until you just said that, and now I will at least watch.
I think he
The
had
beginning
some
of it.
failed pilots of stuff.
Yeah, and then there was
Before-
The Lone Gunman, which
Oh,
was
the Lone Gunman
Oh, that was shitty though.
was the
for
one
sure.
season
Yeah.
really horrible
That was
spin-off.
definitely shitty.
I learned all of this
It
on
was like-
Wikipedia a minute ago. So.
Oh.
That was like a comedy. They were just like
Well, yeah,
quirky,
the Lone
like
Gunmen were something. We're never gonna meet him. Joe's never gonna know who.
Well,
these
isn't
people
that the
Yeah.
one that like ends with like
I think
like
they're
the
all
Twin
gone
Towers
by the
getting
end.
bombed or something?
are?
Or
Jesus Christ, Joe, come on.
Oh, whoa.
it always comes back to 9/11.
Whoa.
I thought there was something
No, I think they're
about
gone before that in the world because
Oh.
that was 2001. When it? No, 2003.
Are you asking us when 9/11?
2002?
What are you asking me?
It's in
Jimmy.
high
Never
school.
forget.
It's in
Never
2002,
It
right?
forget.
has one slogan. It's
2000
never forget.
I remember it happening.
2001.
Okay, well, when I said it, why did you look at me like I'm an asshole?
Because you should remember what year it was.
I was fairly certain that was the year. That's why God.
No, man. You're
What was
fine.
I
It's fine. You hate America.
saying?
It's cool.
So when I was in middle school, I was probably maybe 8th or 9th grade, and I was a huge X-Files fan, and my parents went to go see some comedy show at like the Acme, like downtown, and they came back with a signed thing from Dean Hagland, who is Richard Ringo Langley, the like ponytailed,
Langley.
cool glasses
Yep.
lone gunman, and it blew my mind. And I still have it somewhere, but he wrote on it like "deny everything" or something
Yeah,
like
the truth is out
super X-Files like that. I was so happy.
there.
No, yeah. So the pilot of The Lone Gunman features a plane being remote controlled, flown into the World Trade Center, and this was like early 2001.
Well, no wonder that show
Wait,
didn't
so
last.
so that happened before
Right.
9/11?
Yeah.
And that was, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's not okay, guys. Come on.
Right.
That's insane. That's crazy.
So that's like the claim to fame of the lone gunman. That's
That-
its legacy. Is
I
that
don't
it
understand.
predicted 9/11?
I don't understand how you like.
I don't
if
remember
you've
that,
seen
but-
any Zeitgeist movie on like YouTube and that's not a part of it.
Part of it.
That's
I
insane.
can't wait. I was already excited to First and Last Lone Gunman someday. Now I'm really excited
Yeah,
to
that's gonna
First
blow
and
my
Last
mind.
Lone Gunman.
That's crazy. But we need to get into this episode.
Let's do it.
No, but Joe, you got 30 seconds quick to just tell us what X-Files is.
Fox and Mulder are two FBI agents that investigate the paranormal. They're a part of the secret part of the FBI that investigate things.
So there's a person named Fox and a person named Mulder.
Did I get that wrong? You're
then-
laughing at me.
Just gotta get it straight.
I just want to get it straight because I want to ask you you've heard of Scully, right?
Oh, that's the girl.
Okay.
Oh, is it Fox Mulder and something Scully?
I'm asking you the questions.
Yeah, something. There's two of them.
There could be, by the way, there could be more than two
Nope,
characters.
it's just
in this
two.
show.
That's it.
Okay, so Fox, Mulder, and Scully.
Yeah. Sometimes it's ghosts, sometimes it's aliens, and sometimes it ends up being bullshit. Like they investigate something and it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But other weeks it's like, oh shit, there really was aliens here.
Cool. Maybe we'll find an alien today. Maybe
Mabes.
this whole show's bullshit.
Maybe.
Maybe.
How can you know? I
Sure.
want to believe.
I want to believe.
I want to believe.
believe.
Well, let's believe our way into the pilot episode, and we'll be back after that. The truth is out there, boys and girls of the internet, and we are back from episode pilot of the X-Files.
I believe.
And I mean, I don't want to say anything. I want to put words in Joe's mouth, but that was amazing.
But that was the best show he's ever seen.
One of the best shows
man.
I've ever seen.
I want to believe.
That. I feel like you weren't really watching when the aliens
When the shit
came.
was going, I was watching. I saw it all.
Shit went down, and you were looking
I
at
don't
a
know,
burrito.
man.
I saw it during
Because
burrito bites.
I saw it and I believed. And I feel like you ate a burrito and
Okay, wait.
sort of believed.
Here's the true test of if I saw it or not. Is what happened? The dude was like given the girl to the aliens, and the aliens came and took the girl, and he was just left there.
Yeah, but the girl was still there.
Okay, so I missed it. Please read this recap for me.
Oh, you got the recap pulled up?
I got a recap. All right, recap from pilot. Nobody down here but the FBI's least wanted is how Mulder greets Scully after she is assigned to the X-Files. In their first case together, the agents must determine why classmates are turning up dead in an Oregon forest, all of them displaying the puncture-like marks and nasal implants found on victims of alien abductions. Historical moment. Oh, wait. This isn't like a... This is actually kind of funny. This isn't like the Wikipedia description.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't find that one for some reason, on my phone, so I found some other guy's description.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read whatever he says. But he's got some interesting bullet notes. Now he says, historical moment. Scully and Skivvies.
Wow.
Historical.
Yeah,
So this
historical.
is just some creeper you found on the internet. Is this on Reddit?
William B. Davis silently debuts as eternally puffing Cancer Man. The most enigmatic of all X-Files human enigmas, he gives the government agent a nicely hand dog air. What the
Okay.
hell
Also, his name's
is this
Smoking
guy
Man.
talking about? And
Not
then
Cancer
critique
Man.
successfully establishes Mulder and Scully's Fred and Ginger meet dragnet relationship. Two attractive, ambitious people. This is okay. We're done with this. I'm looking up a different.
Okay, I have the.
You got a better one, Jimmy? This
I
is
mean,
terrible. I apologize.
all the IMDb one says is Agent Dana Scully is instructed to debunk an FBI project dubbed the X-Files, paranormal cases that have been reopened by Agent Fox Mulder.
That's what it says.
That's
That's like the biggest part. Like that's what happened in the beginning.
That's the premise of the
When
episode.
she's meeting in the room, Joe, with those government agents at the very beginning of the episode, they're like, "You're assigned to the X-Files. Your job is you need to debunk them."
Yeah.
And then, but Mulder keeps obviously like Mulder doesn't believe her. Like he's like, "You're just trying to like get rid of the X-Files, Scully." Like he says that like,
Yeah, he's paranoid.
yeah, he's fully paranoid.
Uh-huh.
What'd you think, Joe?
So this first episode, you're introduced to the idea of this like outside of the mainstream X-Files that Mulder's exploring and that Scully's assigned to, and the first case that they do together is these disappearances. No, it's people dying in Oregon, right?
There was people dying, yeah.
I have a better. I have the Wikipedia one if you wanna.
Give me that.
So, basically, it leaves off where the IMDb one did, and it says their first case has them investigating apparent alien abductions. A near comatose man, Billy Miles, is taking his classmates, including Teresa Nemen, was that that last one we saw, into the woods where they are killed in a flash of bright light. And then it just says it guest stars some other people.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. So these kids go to the woods. Some of them are dying in there, and they're investigating. I feel like it's a good setup, like character wise, because you're given like these two distinctly different characters between Mulder and Scully.
But where's Fox?
Fox and Mueller and Scully.
Where Mulder is, the thing is like you're presented for Mulder is the believer and Scully is the skeptic, but they're given some sort of nuance where there's a point where Mulder says to Scully like, "Hey, like, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm like, I have my doubts about this too. I'm trying to investigate it." Like he's not a full-on believer, and he's not just trying to like fabricate evidence to support his case, but he does believe that there's something more out there, but he's trying to prove it. And Scully too, like even though she's the skeptic, there's part of her that believes that there's more out there than what she just sees in front of her. So they're both trying to investigate and find out the truth, which I think is interesting, just from different angles. For like the episode itself, like the plot is pretty simple in terms of like the thing they're investigating. There's there's a point where they like dig up dead bodies, and the body that they find is not of a human.
Yep.
It's like more ape-like.
Scully says if she had a guess, she would think it's like an orangutan, but they never go back to it. And like
Because
say
the
what it
body was stolen. They said their stuff was stolen from their lab.
They definitely set up a good thing of like there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. Like they're trying to figure stuff out, and they've definitely set it up, and kind of like in multiple waves too. Of like when they're in Oregon, a lot of people are trying to like cover up what's happening and destroy the things that they can bring away. So like people are working against them fully, and then even when at the end of the episode when they get back and Scully like turns in the one thing of evidence, they just kind of like say okay, and then that one guy, the smoking man, is what we'll call him.
Yeah.
Joe's like, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
But
The guy who was smoking
the guy who was smoking.
almost every time we saw him.
Smoking.
He
And then
he got it
was
and
in
at
the
the end of
last
the episode
scene.
he put the little nose cavity thing in like a bin full of a bunch of nose cavity things, and they said they tested it and it wasn't a material that they knew
Yeah.
wasn't made of any like earthly material, and he put it somewhere with a bunch of them, so obviously like people know somebody knows about it. He
Yeah.
does for sure, you know. And he was one of the guys in the room at the very beginning
Yeah.
with Scully saying, I want you to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in on it, kind of thing.
I was surprised to see him right off the bat in the pilot episode because he's like, I'm gonna say antagonist,
Mm-hmm.
but like he's that guy who was like works for the FBI, but it seems like he's working against them just in some way, but like knows he like knows more than he lets on, kind of a thing.
He's a very
Throughout the entire series.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character that's involved in the entire series.
And I think he's in the new ones too, right? The reboot?
Let's talk about that when we watch them.
Cool.
Because Joe doesn't need to know about these kind of things right now.
He was also the mayor of Smallville in a couple episodes of Smallville in
Smallville.
like season 2 or 3. So just throwing that out there.
All right, I'm into that. That's funny.
So I guess overall, I think just like as far as pilots go,
So yeah, how did you think this pilot did?
pretty solidly constructed. Where you're given the two characters that you're supposed to care about. They're clearly different, but there's room for them to grow and some sort of nuance to that. And like plot wise, you're given something meaty for them to dig into. And like I don't even know if they come back to this Oregon thing, but like it seems like there's like room for these aliens to show up elsewhere in their other investigations, or they might just drop this for now and go into something else. Like, so it's intriguing.
Yeah, I feel like they do a really good job of they showing who these two people are. Like Scully's very, I'm a scientist, you know, like I'm a scientist. I want to like prove that things are real, but I'm not against looking at something that sounds crazy if I can try to prove it. And Mulder is like, I know he like fully, he's obviously very, he's very like
Handsome.
guarded. Handsome. He's obviously very guarded. Like right away, he was like, "Oh, you're here to spy on me." Like, you know, he like knows that people are like don't believe him, or like they're trying to shut down the X-Files. And then, but he kind of opens up really fast to Scully. Like he goes from like, "What are you trying to do here?" And he's like jokey.
Yeah.
But then like he tells that story about his sister in the hotel, which is very personal, I would assume, for him. You know.
Yeah, his whole reason for wanting to get into the
then-
X-Files is that he thinks his sister was abducted.
Yep. And then, so
Did you catch that, Joe? Were
Yeah.
you listening to that part?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But he
I have thoughts about if that plays in later or not.
he
All right,
does,
all right.
yeah.
Oh, I
He
want to
does
hear
that.
these
So like,
picks.
and like they did a really Scully. Someone asked. I think one of the guys in the first thing asked Scully was like, "What do you think about Mulder?" And he's like, one of the best behavioral
Handsome.
like markup people or whatever they like the behavioral like. What are the people when like serial killers happen? They're like, I know exactly what he's gonna do next, kind of thing.
Yeah,
He's like that kind of guy. He's like the best one that there's been in a long time, and he's so good at it. And everyone's like, he's amazing.
Yeah,
And-
there's a whole lot of exposition in that first scene.
yeah, no, it's really important. But then they're like, oh, but they also call him Spooky Mulder. You know, so
pretty
it's this
fun.
crazy like they make it very clear that he's like Mulder is like exceptionally good at his job and crazy smart. But he's like chosen to do this instead of like being, I don't know, the best agent kind of thing. Like he obviously could be doing something else. Joey saw Scully in her underwear.
Yeah.
Were you worried that there was like a sex afoot?
I mean, not right away. I will say that like when they first introduce Mulder, when he's just like in his like crazy lab, like talking about crazy stuff.
You got a little attracted.
His little closet.
Well, like right away, I'm
Office.
just like, oh, like this dude's pretty handsome. Where I didn't have that reaction when I saw Scully right away.
Yeah, she's not a
What?
very handsome man.
You didn't like her pantsuit?
No, until and then later, when she's like looking at her bug bites or whatever, I was just like, oh yeah, Scully's attractive too, and I was just like, oh, these are like two like pretty attractive nerds, like like they're like at their core pretty attractive people, but they're made to like look like kind of weird people.
I mean, they're both kind of
It
like
was the early 90s.
odd,
Everyone
but
looks pretty weird.
Everyone looked a little weird, I guess.
So do you think like in the 90s they were meant to be presented as two attractive people?
No, I think you're right.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think so, but I think definitely. I just think maybe Scully was kind of projected as like a woman doctor who's like very smart and like
She's no nonsense.
no nonsense. So she wasn't like. She's definitely not predicted as being like a prude or kind of thing, something like that. But she's definitely not like projected as like a sex symbol. Like that's not the way they project her at all.
Kind of a
They
Dana
project her as
Rodham
someone to be
Clinton
respected.
Scully.
Which, in a lot of other shows or movies, like the female character is presented first as her appearance and then her thing. Like,
Right.
oh, she's hot and she's a space doctor.
Well,
Sure.
yeah. Whereas, like, I think she's presented as like, oh, she's a super smart doctor who's like doing crazy stuff, and then
Yeah.
like 30 minutes in, you're like, oh wait, she's hot too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like that happens. On the other hand, the minute you see David Duchovny, you're like, banging dude.
Yeah,
What's
that's
up?
what I'm saying. Like the minute you see him, you're just like, hey. And then a little later, you're like, oh, this dude's kind of weird.
Well, and he's meant like I mean throughout the first couple, you like really get to like. You're like, man, Mulder, you're weird. You're a weird, creepy nerd, dude. Like, but he's charming.
Yeah,
I wanna hear.
smoldering.
I really want to hear
Smoldering.
Joe's predicts because I feel like I can't say
You
anything
can't make any predicts.
until he. I feel like I'm gonna.
I mean, yeah, you can. Why don't we go through your predicts, and
Yeah.
then I have potentially a couple more things to ask before that, but we got 9 seasons worth of X-Files.
Yep.
Yeah. What's gonna happen in that time, Joe?
So, like, I have a couple. I guess I just have like one like basic predict, and then I have a predict for like what I think the final episode's about.
Well, I mean, we already know season 3 is the case of the Batman.
The case of the Batman.
Huh?
You weren't here 40 minutes ago. Never mind.
Were you looking at
No, you can just listen to the part we recorded earlier, Jimmy, and remember the
the
joke.
Batman?
You'll hear this in a couple weeks. It'll be great.
It's amazing that it's. Yeah,
There
it's
were
just me and
bats?
Joe. That's amazing. Wow.
Christian Bale?
You're sure to. We're gonna need to get you checked out for some short term memory.
Michael Keaton.
My like show wide prediction is that Fox and Mulder have sex at some point. I don't know if they're like
So you're saying you
regularly
think
having the sex?
David Duchovny masturbates on screen or what?
I realized that I wrote it down on my sheet as a joke, Fox and Mulder, but
Do you mean
I'm
Mulder and
remembering
Scully?
now Mulder and Scully. Yeah, I bet they have boned at some point. I don't know if they're like in a relation or anything. I bet it's just like that was weird. That'll never happen again.
Like Frasier and Roz.
Yeah, but there's always a hint of like, oh, but maybe there's a chance for us. That's my like show predict. But then my like final episode predict is that they're like really close to uncovering like some sort of like giant government conspiracy that like people super high up, like all the way up to the president, is hiding. And then 2/3 into the final episode, they figure it all out, and they like they have all their evidence lined up, and they got it all. They got all their ducks squared in a row, and they're gonna reveal everything, and then somehow all their like evidence disappears, and
Crazy motel fire.
yeah, something. Well, I made this predict like before like all of that happened in that episode, and I was like, oh, what happened in this last episode or in the first episode is what I predicted for the finale. But I think I might stick with it, where it's like, yeah, I think, and actually another show predict is that the first few seasons they go back and forth with this, like they figure things out, but there's someone higher up than them that's like trying to like tamp down their like findings. And then somewhere in the middle, maybe like season 5, they kind of break through, and the FBI starts to be on their side and is like really supporting them and their like findings. And then when all that stuff's like really going great, then in the last episode, like it all just gets wiped away, and they end up like having to just like quit the FBI because they realize that they can't like continue their investigations in good faith while like working within the system. So they quit, and it's kind of a downer of an ending, and they're just like, well, this didn't work. I don't know where we go from here.
9 years down the drain.
Yep,
This
it's
did-
all just gone. I think Scully's dad plays an important part. I don't know if Scully's dad is like he's like a man in black or something who's like working in the government underground or something, or
It's Tommy Lee Jones.
You can't just
Yeah.
ask someone why they're white, Joe.
This is all dead on, by the way.
nailing
I'm
it.
just kidding.
Oh, man.
We
Felt
don't
really
even-
good about that Scully's dad prediction.
We're not even gonna watch the last episode. You nailed it.
I also wrote down aliens. I think.
I wrote down
think-
one of my things. I wrote down aliens question mark.
Yeah,
Was one of my questions.
because I
for
think
you.
they investigate
What do you think about
different
aliens?
things like ghosts and vampires and werewolves, but I think their final case, the big thing that's gonna blow it up is like there's like Martians working with the president or something.
Okay.
Mars Attacks.
Yeah, right on, right on. It's the prequel to Mars Attacks. It's a prequel to Mars Attacks.
That's all I got for.
Do you remember the
predicted.
last episode of the original?
I know what's happening, but I don't really know. Like, I couldn't tell you like legitimately how it kind of conclude. I mean, a basic overview,
Okay.
but I know what's going on, which,
I think
yeah.
the last couple seasons for me like bleed together like after the first like movie happened
Mm-hmm.
and then because things just get crazy because like right before the first movie happens Fox is like disappears
Oh,
and then he comes back in the movie and it kind of explains it and then he's back the next season but like for quite a while he's not in the show for like maybe a half a season maybe I want to say but then after that it gets I don't really know what is what season and stuff.
Well, it depends because there was
It's just
a
madness.
There was a movie after I think in between season 5 and 6,
Okay.
and then there was another movie in between some other season or
Oh,
in the
okay.
middle of a season maybe even.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure where the other movie landed.
I think
I
the
think
other
it
movie
might
is
be
actually
after.
after. Yeah,
I think it's after.
After?
yeah, it was like
Which-
2008.
Okay. So maybe the movie, that one movie connects the seasons,
Yeah.
and then, which is like crazy because it's an important like if you watch the season premiere of the next season without watching the movie, you're like, what the shit? This isn't where they left off. But there is a thing. So one thing, Joe, is there's 2 new agents that are added to the X-Files. In the later seasons. And that's because, Mulder is missing for a long time. AKA David Duchovny
Man.
apparently didn't want to do the show for a while. But so there's
And that
2.
was T-1000.
And it was the guy who played the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Huh.
Patrick what's his name? Patrick something.
Shoot, I'll look it up.
Brian Patricks. Something Patricks. And then a girl who her name on the show was Monica Reyes.
Okay.
And I don't know who she is in real life. Actually, no, wait.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
Annabeth
Patrick.
Annabeth Gish is the new Scully, and then Robert Patrick's the new Mulder. Except Scully's in the whole show,
Yeah.
like pretty much every episode. And then but Mulder's just missing, but he's not like he's not part of the show. Like they're actively talk about him. They don't act like Mulder like
Is dead or
his
something.
dad or
Yeah.
anything. Like he is in the last episode,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure he's in episodes leading up to it or whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, stuff's gonna happen. I was gonna ask you, like, do we see aliens in the show?
Yeah, for sure.
You answered what's happening. I did so you answered most of my questions. Do we ever find Mulder's missing sister, or like, what do you think happens with Mulder's sister?
I think that's it's like a season 5 or 6 thing that they kind of just like wrap up and move on. Mulder's sister was missing because of aliens, and they figure it out and move on. It's ends up being a big thing for like that episode, but like they just sort of move on from it.
So you think it's big for one episode?
Yeah,
Okay. Just wondering.
it gives Mulder some closure, and then he's like, "All right, now let's go find these other fucking aliens."
What Mulder voice is that?
I don't know.
All right. Hey, the aliens.
Is that the smoking man?
Dana.
Dana. All right. Jimmy, you got anything else before we start this finale?
It's
gonna be a long
So I
episode.
don't remember. I don't remember this finale, but I'm just predicting several aliens. Just an alien.
Oh, okay. So you're saying aliens on screen, like for
community.
sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also Scully in just the most glorious pantsuit.
I'm guaranteeing you, Scully's wardrobe at least is looking a lot
Just
better.
like a golden pantsuit.
9 years is a lot for anybody's wardrobe, really.
And I wanna, throw out there that like in this episode, Fox and Mulder and Scully are like on their way out of the X-Files, but Skinner, I thought Skinner was in this pilot, but he was not.
wasn't,
Walter
no.
Skinner
No,
is like their FBI like boss.
he's like a director
the most
or
of
something.
Okay.
director of something, and
Mitch Pileggi. is his real
and
name.
they're kind of under whatever his realm that he's in charge of, but
Oh, the dude from Magic's Greatest Secrets Revealed? That guy?
God, I don't know.
wow, I
What? Really?
somebody look that up. I know he's in some stuff. He was in something else that I like.
Magic's greatest secrets revealed.
Breaking the Magician's Code?
Are
It
you
was
making
that
these
show on
things up?
Fox where like they would have the masked
Yeah,
magician.
no, that's him. He's
Mitch
the narrator.
Pileggi.
Yeah, he's the narrator of
Yeah.
that show.
Yeah, 2008 to 2009.
Oh, he's also in
Oh, man.
Supernatural, Stargate Atlantis.
None of that's important besides the fact that he's
Breaking the Magician's Code. Come on.
Breaking the
that's
Magician's
that.
Code.
That
All right.
thing.
Let's get to this finale to see how many aliens we can see.
All right.
We are back from the final episode of The X-Files, and we are woken from the truth. Right, Joe?
I'm so confused.
I feel
This is harder to, I think this is harder to understand than Lost was.
Yeah. I mean, there's super soldiers, and Mulder knows the truth, and there's hope, but I don't know what happened, man.
Here's my
Scully, and there's Faith,
yeah.
because they spend a good amount of time at the end. He's touching her cross necklace.
Touching her cross.
What? How is that? Are you gonna make that sexual? I know you are,
I know
but I
there's-
don't
I
understand.
know there's not a video, but my face says, yeah, I'm making that sexual. Here's the deal, Joe. Definitely aliens,
Yeah.
and those aliens have something to do with super soldiers.
and little
Super
psychic
soldiers.
kids.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
Kid.
poor
He
guy.
uses all of the
What was his
DNA
name?
or something. like
Dexter.
Billy.
that. Dexter Jetster, I think his name.
That's a Star Wars character.
Jackson McDexter the third.
It's taken me like 5 weeks of first and last recording for you to say Dexter Jexter or whatever his name is. I mean, I know that's a Star Wars guy.
Clopoon.
Plo Koon.
Plo Koon.
It's Plo Koon. But Joe, what happened? Oh right, actually, Joe, Jimmy, do you want to read the thing?
I have the thing.
Yeah. Well,
But Joe
I want Joe to tell me what happened.
But the long and short of it is Mulder is on trial for killing a U.S. Army soldier,
Noel Roar,
but
the rural juror.
yeah,
I'm
Roar.
so glad that you said that.
What a terrible name.
but Mulder is trying to contest that this was not, in fact, a regular soldier. He is a super soldier and cannot be killed, so he did not commit murder. But there's aliens on his like military judge
panel.
trial.
Judge panel.
So
According to a psychic kid.
yeah, who's believing a psychic kid?
I believed him.
So
I want to believe.
they
If he would have had tarot cards, I might have believed him.
guilty. He's guilty, and then his X-File bros break him out of jail. T-1000,
The X crew.
the X
Let's call
Factor,
him, let's call him X-Men.
X-Pac.
Let's call him X-Men.
the X Team.
The X team.
Yeah. They break him out of jail. Mulder goes with him to go find out the truth. They end up in the desert to talk to this guy, and he's like, "You know the truth." And he's like, "Yeah."
The guy in question that Joe speaks of is the smoking man from episode 1.
Uh-huh.
But he does look so much different because he's got like long hair and he's ragged.
Yeah,
And he's
he
got a tracheotomy.
He never looks like that in the rest of the series.
Which is funny. So then I was like, Joe, that's the guy from the first episode.
Government helicopters follow them there and shoot up the
Some
the
kind
ruins?
of
The
like
Indian
Pablo
ruins?
Indian ruins.
yeah, that they're living in, and kill the old man.
Kill the smoking man.
And the super soldier shows up there, but the T-1000 shoots him with Magnamar.
No,
The Pokemon?
No, he doesn't. He does.
And he explodes.
The smoking man right before what you just said was explaining that they're in the
aliens
during
don't like that
during
spot.
Roswell when the alien ship crashed, because that is canon. It happened in real life here when
Okay.
the aliens crashed in Roswell, and it happened
Yeah,
in
and
the
it happened in the
X-Files.
show.
Yeah, and it happened in the show. And the reason why it happened was because
This
they
is all
have
happening in real time.
They have magnetite or magmite.
Is that the stuff that's in
Magnesium.
no, what's that toy? The
Etch a
Etch a
sketch.
Sketch.
Sketch? Is that the stuff that's in Etch a Sketch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Jimmy, confirm or deny.
Or
Okay,
a Magnadoodle?
Yeah, Magnadoodle, or
For sure it's in
or
Magnadoodle.
potentially a light bright.
No, there's no magnets in Light Bright.
Yeah.
You dumb.
But
So they blow up the super soldier, and then Fox and Mulder are on the run, and they have a chat in a hotel room, and
very similar to their first chat, except this one was way more sexual.
yeah, they snuggle at the end.
And like their first chat was Scully came in her underwear to make him look at her body. And that one was like, yeah, you're fine. And it was cool. And then this chat 9 seasons later ended up in spider spooning.
Mm-hmm. Spider spooning?
He was like wrapped around her.
They're pretty entangled.
They were entangled.
Okay.
Spiders. I don't know. I don't think that's a technical term.
I don't know. That's how I spoon.
No. So now you don't know the term. Now you know the term for how you spoon.
I just call that normal spooning.
I just call that Joe Spoon.
It's aluminum powder and beads.
What?
And beads?
And beads.
That's what's in a
It's
Magnadoodle?
fine aluminum powder, and it doesn't seem to really have anything to do with magnets, but the beads just like go along the powder and just leave a trail.
Is that a Magnadoodle or an Etch a Sketch?
Etch a Sketch.
Cool.
Yeah, a Magnadoodle. It has the word magnet essentially in its name. It's got to have a magnet involved, right?
I refuse to look that up.
Okay. We'll never know. Tweet at us.
After not knowing Mulder's whereabouts for the last
thank you.
year, Skinner and Scully learn he's being held for the murder of a military man he couldn't possibly have killed. Noel Rohr, played by Adam Baldwin, who's
Of Entourage fame. No. Yeah, right?
No, I don't think so. But he's in he's Jane in Firefly.
That's okay. He's the other Baldwin because there's the
He's not related to those Baldwins.
it's a Baldwin though, right?
His name is Baldwin, but I don't think he's related to those
He
Baldwins.
looks like a Baldwin.
Someone else look up if he's related to those Baldwins. I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
look
he's
up-
one of those
I'm gonna look up
brothers.
Okay, so we're talking about what's his name?
Adam
Jesse
Baldwin.
Victor.
Noel
What's his name?
Rohr. He's also
No, he's not even a Baldwin. His name's Kevin Dillon, the guy from
yeah
Entourage.
yeah he's the other Dylan. Matt Dillon's little older brother.
Oh, so he's the older brother of the guy from the Wallflowers,
Jesus.
right?
Bob Dylan's son. That's Jacob Dylan.
Oh,
You son of a bitch.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know my Dylans and my Baldwins, Jimmy. Jeez.
Also, Adam Dillon, Roger Noel, what's his name? He's the cop in Independence Day, or like the agent, and he like shoots at the thing and to see if the shield is on, and it reflects back. He's also apparently in Chuck. He's one of the lead guys in this series, Chuck, which I'm sure will
Chuck.
be first and lasting. I've heard good things about that.
Is this glass bulletproof? No, sir.
Okay. Anyway, couldn't possibly have killed that guy. He's one of the government's secret super soldiers. Mulder breaks out of prison with the help of Skinner, Reyes, Doggett, Scully, and Alvin Kirsch.
Is that the kid? No.
No, his name was Dexter.
Is
Lexter.
he the judge? Maybe.
Oh, maybe he's the judge who helps him escape. Mulder and Scully travel to New Mexico, where black helicopters destroy an Anasazi cliff-dwelling ruin, along with the cigarette-smoking man.
It's interesting because the Anasazi were like a big deal in some of the other seasons of the X-Files. Like Mulder, they do this like stint where they go to like a Native American thing, and because the Native Americans know like a lot about the full history of America kind of thing, so they like know like they have all these stories passed on about like aliens and shit, and so like Mulder learns a lot of crazy stuff, and then the government always buries stuff around Indians because they don't give a shit about them, like our real government, because they're all assholes. So it's a very Indians play like a minor but big role, I think, in the X-Files. It's interesting.
I don't remember that.
You remember the whole like Indian subplot for a while?
Yeah, vaguely.
I think it was like called Honest. I don't know, whatever. It was important. Joe, you look so confused.
There's a lot going on, man.
I mean,
and also, in that, so they each, so the what'd you call them, the X Bros?
Yeah, the X Bros.
They go on. They stand.
X-Force.
They
Let's call them X-Force.
stand. Sure, X Factor. They like have to. They're like being witnesses in the trial, and Reyes talks about let's do a little clip show where Scully has a kid, and then Billy Niles from the first, what's his name? Billy Miles from the first episode is totally there, and he's one of the super soldiers.
That's a
They
crazy
shoot
thing.
him and he can't die.
I forgot about that. Like, so yeah, he's definitely
He's a recurring character.
He's definitely someone like they shot, and they do a good job in the show of like in season 3, some dude will like be crazy and have cancer, and they like save him because he's like he got abducted by aliens, or he says so. And then in like season 6, he's just like there for 2 more episodes, and you have to be like, wait a minute, do I know that? Like, because it's been so long.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, do I know this guy? It's an Arrested Development level of like digging.
Callbacks.
You got to of callbacks. So you can be like, wait a minute, do I know this? What's happening?
Sure.
I would say, just as far as maybe Joe is concerned, this wasn't necessarily a very like maybe appetizing like final episode. Especially the first half with the trial, because you were definitely like, well, I don't know anything about like what was happening, but I think they did a good job of like not keeping the trial be the whole thing and just have it like that kind of be the ending. They definitely were like they whatever Mulder was going after, he knows these answers. He knows, like, I mean, you never saw him, but at least as far as we know that Mulder knows, Mulder definitely believes, even if no one else believes, Mulder knows that there's aliens. There's like an alien scheme happening,
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, at the end of the Mayan calendar, that's like they say that's when the final invasion is happening.
Right.
And like he is so, he didn't even tell Scully that, and the Smoking Man told Scully.
Mm-hmm.
So like he had learned that, and he had learned some stuff like previously, or whatever. But, so, you're right, Joe, about like there being like other monsters and stuff all the time, but the definite full arc of the X-Files is always 100% essentially like alien based. It's all about
The same.
The actual
what's-
plot moving episodes are alien.
what's going on with aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets muddy middle to end of like it's not just an alien person, like aliens are here, it's like alien DNA mixed with people creating super soldiers and that kind of stuff. So are you so into X-Files?
I'm kind of intrigued. I wonder if like it didn't strike me as like the most satisfying ending just because like the action part of the climax was somewhat, I mean, I guess like unless the smoking guy was like a big deal where he gets blown up, but otherwise like the super soldier comes after the two other agents and they just sort of shoot him once and they're like, oh he's dead, that's it. And then they all like just sort of drive away, and then it's left with Fox and Mulder just sort of like in like
Just recapping the day.
yeah, like it's
I mean-
not there's not much shown for like direction of like where they're going from here. It's just sort of like, well, we're alive. That's
I mean, I think it's like it starts off.
And that's why they rebooted it,
mean-
Joe.
Well, they didn't reboot it. They continued it.
Okay,
It's a
that's-
continuation.
Yeah,
It's not a reboot.
That's fair.
Two things with that, and in my thoughts of the show, just kind of remembering it is, the super soldier, especially like that super soldier, like the super soldier of Noel Rohr kind of thing, like him as an individual or a person isn't important. Like
Right.
he isn't important. It's
Okay.
the like existence of super soldiers that's important.
yeah.
And then just the smoking man that, and they that definitely like was like he died. Do you see how he got blown up with all those missiles? Like, like he's an insanely big deal in the whole show. Like, I mean, he is set up in episode 1 as being a person, and he was in the group working against the X-Files, like trying to disprove it kind of thing.
It's like he's orchestrating all these like government like conspiracy things.
And you learn a lot about him. He's like, I mean, you could essentially say he's like the third main character,
Okay.
like in a way, even though he's not like in every episode. Like he's not Fox, Mulder, or Scully. And then I forgot the other part. What was the other part?
Well, and just how it ended with them just in the hotel room. Like I was super surprised when I saw when they were just laying there and then it says like directed by Chris Carter, and I was like, what, that's it? Like that was the end?
I mean, I think it did, and maybe it's just. I mean, it's all me just like fanboying this though, like
Sure.
But it started in like such a. They're like, we don't know what's gonna happen when we don't know kind of thing, and then the show ends, and I'm like, well, we were trying to get this. We were fighting for this whole time, and then we're like, we found it out, and now it's still just like there's so much stuff. Like we as an audience, right, we like we learned everything they learned, and like we know the answers, like the truth that they were looking for technically the whole time. We found out. We found out there were aliens, and some people know, some people don't.
Yeah.
But it's just as futile as the first episode of like there's always people in your way.
Yeah. So
Trying
that
to,
kind of
like-
goes along with like my prediction is pretty correct on that, where they figure out some sort of truth and then but they can't like execute on it.
Yeah, I mean there's not like who's gonna season 10 doesn't start off with like Scully hand out flyers being like, oh
Yeah,
Alien
right.
Doomsday's coming,
Send some videotapes out to all the major networks. Let them all know.
because you crazy person man. Girl, you nuts, you believe in aliens? Shoot.
You be believing in aliens.
What were your other predicts?
That Fox and Mulder had sex at some point, which is inconclusive, I think, from this episode.
I thought it was conclusive.
You think they were giving each other a look that they like definitely had sex
Some
before?
pretty nuzzly snuggles. Nuzzle snugs.
I have very rarely nuzzled a human like that. Pre-bang. That's a couple that have banged.
What else?
Yeah, and that it was aliens. There was no mention of Scully's dad. I thought that Scully's dad would be a thing.
He's dead.
Cool.
Yeah, probably dead.
I
I feel like we do see her parents, and that's like a thing for a little while.
Her parents are involved. Their parents, yeah. I mean,
Like, I don't feel like we ever really meet. They don't spend a lot of time in like Fox Mulder's family. That I
what
remember.
was the thing with his sister?
Well, yeah, there's that, and that becomes a whole thing.
maybe you're gonna have to watch the X-Files to find that out, Joe.
Was I right that was a thing and they figure it out and then they move on?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It was a much bigger thing than just like a one episode thing.
His sister was a thing the whole time.
They're like,
It never
he's
wasn't.
like still trying to find.
It
her
never wasn't a thing
because he like
essentially.
still believes that she's like alive for like. And then we see her, right?
That's muddy to me. My recollection. I think we might have met her at some point, but I don't remember if it might have technically been her or not, kind of thing. So, watch the X-Files, Joe.
I guess.
Was that all the predicts that you had?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you think? Would you watch this show?
I'm like still intrigued to like go back and see some of the Vince Gilligan episodes. Like I said, like the one before this was written and directed by Vince Gilligan, so I'm intrigued. I bet those are. I mean, I bet there's a lot of these episodes that are real good, even if it's not directly Vince Gilligan. I don't know that I am intrigued to go from beginning to end, but I'm intrigued about watching some highlights, I think.
If I had one option to tell you to do, is I would say start on season 1, episode 2, which is the next episode you have in your lineup. And if anything, give it like 2 or 3 more episodes and just see how you feel. Because I think the next one's a story one. The one after that is going to be like a monster one. So you're going to get both of the X-File flavors then.
Okay.
But with the continued character, because they keep developing everybody. So even if it's a monster episode, they're still like giving you, if anything, at least character development. So you kind of get both of those things, and then I feel like after that, you would probably have a pretty good knowledge of like feel of that.
Yeah.
I feel like the feel of the pilot stays a lot farther than the feel of this last episode. And then also because I think in season 7, David Duchovny tried to stop doing the X-Files, and that's why Doggett and Reyes are in this now.
Yeah.
And so the later episodes are a little, as far as I think people that watch, are a little rougher.
Okay.
Because they're not Skulder and Mully.
Yeah.
I wonder if
hear what I said?
Yep, I did.
Jimmy didn't get it. I said Skulder and Mully.
I'm blown right past it. I wonder if he did anything in that time, like was in anything else or not.
When was
If he was
Californication?
trying to, way after. I like to think that Californication, which I believe was Showtime,
Sure.
that's just like who Fox Mulder became.
In the
It's just
same
like
continuity.
this just arrogant like writer who's middle aged but just banging everybody.
He Scully finds Mulder's porn all the time in the X-Files.
What?
He's got porn in his office, like down in the
Nice.
thing, and he like is watching. One morning she comes down and he's like watching porn or something, and he goes, oh, it was on when I came in. Like he just makes jokes about that. That's why like it's Mulder's an interesting guy, because he's just like such a gross, dirty, weird dude. But then he's like crazy smart and like actually charismatic. But when he's like alone, you're like, oh, you're a creep, dude.
If you ever have to have like Microsoft like Windows login for work, like a great password is Fox Mulder's password, trust no one. like number one.
Mm.
Like every 90 days when you got to reset your work password or whatever.
Trust number 1.
Yeah.
Trust number 2.
Yeah, every 90 days, just the next number.
Increment it. Yep.
I'm on Trust No 11. Does that count? That count for anything?
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, I feel like maybe next week we'll clock back in with Joe and see how many episodes of X Files
See
we
what
watch.
season X Files is.
You got one job, Joe. Watch at least one more episode of the X Files.
Here's a spoiler for next week. I'm gonna be like, so I didn't watch any X Files, but
Come
I
on.
watched some Breaking the Magician's Code, and
But I watched Mitch Pileggi in Breaking the Magician's
in
Code.
Sons of Anarchy.
I watched The Masked Magician. Tell me how to saw a lady in half.
His character in Sons of Anarchy is like he's like a white supremacist, like neo-Nazi, and I'm pretty sure it turns out later that he's like gay and just super hypocrite as well.
Aren't they all?
I mean, we all are, but
All white supremacists
His character.
are gay.
sure, maybe a little.
just coming up with new stereotypes.
I don't know. I feel like that doesn't like you can be gay. No one who really cares except for like a racist white supremacist. Like, I'm not gay. Just hurts them.
Also, what do you call the lawyer who you're against?
Blah
when
blah
you're
blah.
in- Blah blah blah. In this show is the
Talking about a
bad
defendant
guy,
or
The prosecutor.
no, the
Prosecutor?
prosecutor. Thank
Okay.
you. Prosecutor in the trial is the like bad guy, like Drew Barrymore's shitty fiance in The Wedding Singer,
oh.
and that makes me so
I forgot.
happy.
You said that while we were watching. You were like, "That guy's in The Wedding Singer," but it like was on like the black judge guy, and I was
Oh,
like, "I
because
don't,
I was still
I don't
processing.
recognize that guy
He's
at
the
all."
guy that Adam Sandler in The Wedding Singer says, like he's drunk and he's like, "Oh yeah, why don't you have a couple more and drive home."
I'll be having a couple more and drive yourself home. I hope there's ice on all the roads.
Is
Brand
that
new. It's brand new. It's a brand new song.
Huh.
70,
How new is it?
77 times 7. Oh, it's pretty
How
new.
recent?
Super new. Just came up with it.
Well, let's see. This episode of X-Files that we just watched came out 2002, so it's about a year in the future from that. 2003.
Huh.
No, it's not. It's older than
Nuh-uh.
that. No, it's
That's
older
a-
than
Deja
that.
Vu
No,
was
it's
2003.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no!
He just punched his microphone
He was so bad that he was wrong.
in its face. Is it working?
Apologies for what I just did. I probably edited
edit
some
that
of that out. But Joe, where can people find us? Because I think we are wrapped on the X.
F and L at Gmail? No, F and L podcast.
No, AOL. It's
At
Gmail.
AOL.
It's Gmail.
F and L. F and L
Is that
podcast.
flu
Tacos.com.
back from like 2 weeks ago? Is that flu back?
We're back. Tweet at us, F and L podcast. And we got a YouTube channel too, right? That we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Have YouTubes?
Leave
it's
us some
called
YouTube
F&L.
comments.
We got the Facebook.
It's called First and Last. You can search Tiger Castle on YouTube, and if you find that channel, you can also find FNL through there as well.
Yeah, and if you found us through just like looking up X-Files stuff, go ahead and subscribe. We got fun shows.
We do fun
We
shows.
got fun things, man.
Yeah. Tell us what shows you want us to do.
Also that we'll do whatever you want.
We'll do any show.
We'll literally do whatever.
We'll do anything you want us to do.
Just putting it out there. Just keep subscribing. We'll do
Next
whatever you
week.
want.
More Power Rangers.
Nah, we gotta wait a little bit, right? I do want to know what happens, but we gotta wait. So, keep on morphing. That's not. I don't.
Waiting on that Power
Wait.
Rangers Geo still.
Geo,
Yeah.
Zeo.
With the rocks.
The Rock Monsters.
You
The
just
rock
think
monsters.
the next Power Rangers episode we're gonna watch are just like paleontologists or what?
Like a Jurassic Park.
Digging up
meets-
fossils.
Dr. Ellie Sattler Rangers.
How does that not sound amazing to you?
Well, I'm into that.
Power Rangers Dino?
I think that is a thing.
I think that's a thing.
That's actually a thing. That's a thing.
We'll find out.
All right. Well, the truth is out there.
We'll see
And
you on the internet.
Good
we'll
night and
see
good luck.
you later on the internet. Taster, show me your tasty.
Show me your tasty.
What? Show me your tasty. Tasty, tasty. Oh, you are tasty. I just know that I am tasty too.